Okay, hi. So here we are. We're trying one more thing. We're going to just do this video as a video and post it on our Facebook page because
this is important information.
It's important information, and it wasn't working on Facebook. It wasn't working on Instagram. So we're just going to go for the pre-recorded version and post it on our page. So hopefully you'll join us to see it, and we'll let you know that it's on there. Okay, so we were talking about budgeting, right? And
yes.
Different techniques. And unfortunately, you missed the beautiful watercolor cake that Heidi made, but we'll get to see it again because
we will be adding some gold
to it. So you'll get to see the cake. You won't get to see her make it, but we'll do it another time.
Yes.
Okay, so what do we want to do next? We were talking about texture and color and how you can substitute certain things for other things.
For budgeting
purposes
as well,
right.
as the last thing I was talking about was if you're having more than 100 people at your wedding, thinking about cutting cakes. This way it's you can save some money because the cutting cake can be something, it's a cake on the side. It will be the same flavor as your main cake. So when it's being cut, your guests are not going to think about not eating from the
There's
main
no way
cake.
for them to know which piece of the
this
cake they
is not only great because it helps the service flow at your event, but it also, you have more time with the beautiful cake that you spend a lot of money on.
Right.
And more time for photos and more time for you to take photos cutting the cake.
And when you say it helps with the service flow, so when we send cutting cakes, a lot of times
it stays in the kitchen.
The kitchen will slice it up and plate it, so then it's seamless. It just comes out really quickly.
Yes, it just comes out, and then when the main cake goes back, because that cake needs to be disassembled for the chef to cut it into pieces and serve it. So this takes a little bit of time. So having a cutting cake definitely is a great option, and it's something that I recommend. There are some instances, depending on your venue, if you're having if your venue has really high ceilings, it's a really big room, we recommend a taller cake.
Right.
So that is definitely a recommendation. But again, you could do a 5-tier cake, a 6-tier cake.
Right.
But also, if you're having 300 people, the tier cake does not need to feed all the 300 people. You can have the cutting cake.
But you want the look to match.
But you want the look to match, and not your cake to look diminished in that venue, and to get lost. Because if it's a big room and a room with a lot of high ceilings, your cake will get lost if it doesn't have a presence because it's not tall enough.
Right. So one of the funny things is that Orlando and I went to an event recently, and Orlando couldn't believe how small the big cake looked in the room. It was a big room, and it's high ceilings, and he said, oh my gosh, it doesn't, in our kitchen it looks so much bigger than, in a large event space.
Yeah, and this is something that I suggest to clients, especially when they are getting married at venues that we work with, because we do hear feedback from our own clients, and also we see the room once we meet with those venues, and we see the room, and that way we know what to suggest to our clients.
So it's good to work with a cake artist that's really familiar with the space.
Yes.
So they can make suggestions that make your cake present.
Definitely.
Okay. All right. So now the next thing we're going to move on to is, are we going back to you, Heidi, with your cake? Is it cold enough? Yes. Sure. Okay, great. So now, everyone, you missed, unless you were on the Facebook Live, you missed the Instagram Live. You missed Heidi sort of putting together this watercolor cake, which we really love this technique, and it's beautiful, and it's really very popular now. So now she's going to finish it a little more, just to show us on this pre-recorded video. How this technique really it's just so pretty, and it's really simple for, it's not,
and it adds the color, but also makes, you're still having a smooth cake, and
and you can actually do it also in In horizontal,
Yes.
can't you?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's not only in smooth, but it can be. This particular one is smooth, but if you really want it in horizontal, we can do that as well. Now, what do we charge for this? We charge.
We charge $25 per tier for
Right,
this.
$25 a tier. So you can see the reason that there's an additional charge for it because it does take a lot of time. But $25 a tier it's not overbearing. We hope so. You can get something really beautiful that looks very dramatic without necessarily breaking the bank. Right, exactly. So. Okay, beautiful. Thank you. All right, and then a lot of times we get people speaking to us about do you recommend something trendy like this, or do you think something more classic is better? What do you think about this?
I think that's something that you have to judge on your wedding venue. If the venue you're getting married, it's more of a traditional, a white cake. It's never going to go out of style. But if you feel that you also your personality and your groom's personality, you guys want to inject some of that into the cake and represent that. So if you are a person that likes color and would like to include that in your wedding cake, definitely do it. Don't be afraid to do it.
Right.
But if you also something to think about, and it's what fits in your venue, what fits in the grand scheme of your sort of theme and design for your wedding cake. That's also very important because
And
you
what
don't
your
want
personality is.
yes, and because you want the cake to also represent you because you will be taking pictures with the cake, but also to fit in the whole thing.
Right.
As well, to
Right,
be part of it.
You want everything to look like it's pulled together.
Yes,
you don't want a
definitely.
mishmash of things.
Right.
Right.
So that's definitely something that is for you to think about and consider.
Okay, what's the next thing we're going to do? What are we going to work on,
To
Amanda?
show the gold in the chocolates.
Okay, so Amanda's going to come up and add. So we have to refrigerate the cake, get it a little
Yes.
cool. So then that way, and that tag on the side of the cake, just so people know, the tag on the side of the cake is how we track everybody's cake to make sure that they're getting the right flavor. It's their cake. You want to make sure you don't want to, give somebody the wrong cake. So this is our technique and how we track it. We have little tags on every cake, saying whose cake it is, what invoice it is, what flavor, what filling, so nobody's confused in any way. Okay, so tell us what you're doing now, Amanda.
So in order to make the paint, we use a gold little luster dust, edible dust, and we actually just mix it with a little bit of oil. And when you mix it with a little bit of oil, it kind of makes like a little paint.
Ah, turns it into edible paint.
Yes. And that's how we do all of our metallics. So the gold, the silver, the rose gold, all of it will get done like that.
And that's the thing, a lot of times people think about metallics, they think about, gold, but there are other metallics there, like you said, silver, rose gold, and now there are even colored metallics that you can use as well.
Yeah, you can do like blue metallic.
Yeah, so you don't really have to use just gold. It doesn't have to be gold. So let's move this out of the way.
And this is what you will see is a good thing. It's a good option if you want to save a little money, because gold leaf is very popular, but it is very expensive. Could be expensive. So this is a good way to incorporate that. And it has sort of a feel like the gold.
And gold leaf is super hard to work with.
Yes, so that's why the price.
Besides, that's one of the things. And then the other thing is that the actual gold leaf is actual gold. So it's like putting gold on your cake, really, really thin pieces. It's very labor intensive to get it on, but also it's very expensive to buy.
Yeah.
You can't buy it cheap. So
because it's real gold.
It's real gold. Right. So now you just sort of brush.
So we're just more dabbing than brushing. If you brush on buttercream, it kind of smears the buttercream and gets buttercream on your brush.
Mm-hmm.
So you just use a brush that has kind of open bristles a little bit, and you can kind of get like the different feels and the different types of designs around it.
Right.
And we tend to do a lot more concentrated around the bottom, So it's a lot more thicker around the bottom, and then just as you go up, you do less and less.
Right.
So that when you get up to the top, there's not really a lot going on.
And like I said, one of our clients sent us an amazing photo of the cake that they bought that was like this, and they put this neon cake topper, which I thought was just
It's
the
so
most cool
amazing.
thing. Yeah, like everybody really liked that. It was really very nice and beautiful cake. They got a beautiful cake, and really it looks highly decorated, but the techniques are not super expensive techniques. So.
Okay.
Great. Okay, so then this is something that's super trending now. I mean, we know this from all our clients requesting it. We get so
Yeah,
many.
this is something that you will see a lot Pinterest. You will see
yeah.
this a lot on Pinterest. It's very popular at the moment with the marble as well. And it's a beautiful technique, and it's a technique that it's attainable.
Right.
And that is important,
Which is
especially
important, yeah.
especially when you want to stay on trend and in budget.
Right. Yes, exactly. And there's nothing worse than loving something and not really being able to attain it.
Yes.
Because you sort of feel gypped.
Yes.
So, okay, so Amanda's going to continue that and working on that, and we're going to now go over to Heidi, I think, who's going to be doing. What are you going to be doing, Heidi?
I'm gonna start with some rosettes.
Some rosettes. Okay, so rosettes are another, and like Maciel said earlier, which you may or may not have heard, is that rosettes, buttercream piped rosettes, which are not that expensive. How much do we charge for those, Maciel?
Buttercream pack rosettes are $25 per tier.
$25 a tier. So this is something that's much less expensive than doing ruffle
And
rosettes.
it's a beautiful look, because with the cool thing about the buttercream rosettes is that if you decide that you want to have them as ombre, you can do that.
Right. Oh, we're going to just move so you can actually see what she's doing. Okay, and I'm going to turn off the light because it may get too bright.
And yeah.
Okay, no worries. And then just hit the light off. Okay. Go ahead. Is that better? It's live, people. It's not live. It's pre-recorded, but it will be live.
We're recording it live.
You're recording it live. So, okay, so that's the rosettes. And
And I like this rosettes a lot better than the big ones because these are tighter.
Right.
So you can fit more in one tier, and it looks so much more pulled together.
right, so it looks, you really get the best bang for your buck
Yes.
with rosettes. Yeah. And the other thing is we chose this green because green is the Pantone color of the year.
So it's very
Um,
on trend.
Very on trend. I don't know if a lot of people are going to have green cakes or not going to have green cakes. Right now we haven't gotten too many requests for green, but you never know what's coming up, so.
Yeah, the color of the year tends to be a little bit more geared towards fashion colors
right.
and clothing and apparel. So they're sometimes kind of not something that you can see.
Doesn't apply to cake.
Doesn't translate to everyday things.
Right, not everything, especially cake.
Yes.
So, but this color
But
happens to.
there's ways to include that color. It doesn't have to be in rosettes, and maybe your flower can be a color. like
Right,
that,
sure,
if that's
exactly.
something that you want to do.
Okay, and then so now that we've done rosettes, what's the next technique that we're gonna look at?
The next technique is our new ribbon.
Oh, ribbon, right.
That is very popular, not only for wedding cakes but also for celebration cakes.
Yeah.
The rosette, the buttercream ribbon.
Right. So that's really nice for bridal showers, baby showers.
Yeah, definitely. Birthdays. And again, all of these techniques, as you can see, give the cake texture
Right.
and
And a little color.
Yeah. And you don't have to overwhelm the cake with color,
Right.
but
exactly.
also included.
And another nice thing too is that you can pick pastel colors. Now, just one thing to mention is you really can't do these things in like dark purple or black
No.
or red because that changes the texture of the buttercream, right?
Yeah,
and also
the flavor, and also it's not something that you want your guests to be walking around with a red mouth.
Right.
or a black mouth. For
Yeah.
it's
'Cause it
not.
takes a
It's
lot
not.
of
Yeah,
time.
because they're gonna, especially they're gonna be taking photos. You want them to look really nice and on
Right.
your reminisce
Right.
photos.
There's nothing worse than having your guests have a black all over their mouth.
And the
right?
ribbon is also $25 a tier, so it's very, very, very inexpensive
Right.
and such a nice way to
Right.
include texture on your wedding.
Again, attainable.
And it's not something that you have to do in all tiers as
Right.
well. You could do it in one, or you could do it in two.
Right, alternating
Yeah.
tiers is nice, yeah. So it gives it texture and smooth, it kind of gives a contrast.
Right.
Yeah, so, okay, great. So that shows that's another technique that is very popular. And now let's go back to Amanda and the cake. Okay, Amanda and the cake for, there you go, got the light back on. Okay, so now what are you going to be doing, Amanda?
So now that the gold is all done, I'm actually going to do a chocolate drip on it.
Okay.
So it's a chocolate ganache, so it's white chocolate just mixed with some heavy cream. And the way that we do it, we put it into a squeeze bottle like this, and we're going to let it drip down.
Oh, and this is super, I mean, we get so many calls for this. And another way to do it is, we're using a white drip, but you can
You can use
also
other
use
colors.
a color drip. And
You
then-
can have it painted gold
Right.
if that's sort of what your preference is.
Alright. Yeah, oh, that painting gold, yeah, but I think it looks, to me personally, I think that it's such a nice, like the chocolate is so beautiful, and the white has like a nice shine. Is it chocolate?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we just go around the edge and we kind of push down where we want the drips. You don't want to put too many. And you also don't want them to go too far down. So you don't want to squeeze a lot right there.
Right.
Because you don't want them to drip all the way down to the bottom of the cake. You want them to kind of see where I started. They kind of stopped pretty high
Right, sort of halfway. And also,
Right.
I think what you said is correct. Like if you put too many, it becomes more than a drip. It becomes one big blob.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it's a technique. Now, what do we charge for this, Maciel?
This is $35 per tier.
Right, and that is because it does take some skill and some time,
Yeah.
and also chocolate. We use a lot of chocolate.
Yes.
So I mean, we're just trying to make an understanding of why there are charges that we try to do what's trendy. We try to do what's in, and we try to keep it at a reasonable price.
Yeah,
but
and
there-
give you options.
and give you different options. Exactly.
Because you have a budget and that you want to stay within doesn't mean that you have to stay limited as far as design.
Right. There's lots of if you
there's
go to
lots of different alternative options that you can use to create a look that you like.
Exactly. And if you go to our wedding cakes a la carte, you can see on our website, you can see all the choices and the prices right there, so you can sort of play around with it and see exactly how much money.
Yeah, and if you see the wedding cakes a la carte, I would suggest if you like a technique but you want to see it on a cake already together, just let's say you like the marble, just Google marble wedding cakes.
Right.
So you can see it all together and you can see what it looks like.
Right.
And how and maybe you like the complete look of it.
Exactly.
So that's something that you can use your wedding cake a la carte and just Google that technique.
Right. It does not. It doesn't. If there's a cake that you want to see that isn't necessarily a cake we've made, that doesn't
Yeah.
mean we can't make it. But it also doesn't mean you can't see it, because there are other cake artists that have
and it
made
gives you
something
ideas,
similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love this cake. This is like one of my favorites.
Yeah, that cake is
It was just my birthday. I didn't get a cake, but if I did get one, this is the one I would have gotten.
This is Stacy's way of complaining about not getting a birthday cake.
No, I eat plenty of cake. I didn't need to get a different cake. I didn't need to get cake. I eat cake too much now. Okay, so now what are we doing? We're going to go over to Heidi, correct?
Correct.
And Heidi, what are you ready for us?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, great. Now, what are you working on, Heidi?
I'm gonna work with the marble fondant.
Oh, okay, great. So marble fondant is something that you can do with many different colors. And we actually have a marble cake somewhere in our studio that we can show you what this particular cake is going to look like once it's Right. So this one's gray, but don't we have another one that's yeah, it's over there.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna roll 10 layers.
So you're
of
gonna
color.
roll different colors, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Our faux cake is different marbleized colors, very light. Yeah. Let's see. We'll just while you're rolling, I'm gonna come over here, and this is what the end product is gonna look like. And there's
it
that gold
incorporates
and
that
the gold technique too, right? And then there's a flower, but this is the technique we're talking about now is really the colored, marbleized, all different. Right. Okay. All right. So let's see what Heidi's doing here. She's rolling these fondant. Now, pricing for a la carte for a marble tier.
It's $25 per tier.
Okay, so far everything has been in the $25, $35 range per tier.
Yes.
Which, if you think about it in the big picture, a tier really feeds a lot of people, so it breaks down to not a lot of money per serving.
So now we're gonna roll.
Ooh, that's pretty. And again, we're talking about weddings, but this could really be for anything.
For a baby showers.
Baby showers, really nice, yeah. Beautiful for a baby shower.
A bridal shower.
Bridal
also.
shower. And the thing that's nice about it too is you can sort of, whatever event you're having, you can, pull in the colors, and depending on whether you want them very strong or light like this one. I mean, this one's really very pastel-y, but it doesn't have to be like that. It can be more
Right.
bold, colors black or brown.
Yeah, that's a good way to also the marble is a good way to incorporate black and white.
Right.
Because some people want to incorporate black and white on their cake.
Right.
And that's a great way to incorporate black
Absolutely.
and white.
And I think, for the person who's a little shy color-wise, if they want to do it a little lighter,
Definitely.
that definitely is a good way to incorporate. Okay, so now you're going to do a little...
Yeah, and if you want to add some gold, you can
Right.
do it.
Okay. Oh, yeah. See? I'm going to come around.
Just like that.
Just put... And you sort of go with the green where the green of the marble is. Right. And again, it adds nice...
Or you can
colors.
go like this.
Or you can do it like we did on the other one. More, yeah. That's nice. Beautiful. Excellent.
Should we talk about flavors?
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, let's talk. That's gorgeous. I love that. And then again, it comes into this. All right, and then we're going to talk about flavors. Why don't we talk about flavors while we're watching Amanda, who is also doing, this is a more classic technique, right?
Yes, this is our quilting.
Okay.
And you'll see that in a lot of traditional cakes. It's really great to include the texture, but also white. You don't have to change the color of the cake. You can do it in white. It's a very beautiful technique that you will see in a lot of wedding cakes. It is a classic sort of decorative enhancement.
Okay. There we go. Oh yeah, that's a good thing. Alright. So you're just taking, it's a special tool, going over your head, sorry. A special tool that makes like a quilted look.
And this is $75 per tier. This is a more intricate design.
It takes longer.
It takes longer to create, which determines justifies the price.
Right, of course. Right, something that takes a little longer. And, she's doing it sort of quickly, so it's not as exacting, perhaps. But when we're doing it on someone's wedding cake, we do it really, exacting, so it's very even. And also, now she's adding little dots because she's going to go around and have to add
I'm going to add black dragees into the
dragees to it, exactly.
where they cross over. So the quilting goes both ways, as you can see.
Right.
So wherever they cross over, you put just a little divot. And then I'm gonna go back with a little bit of glue and some black dragées and stick them into each.
So
of
edible
those.
glue.
Yes.
Some people opt to just have the quilting without the dragées. It's definitely an option. But I believe the dragées put it all together.
Yeah, like pull it together, right?
Definitely. It
Yeah.
definitely gives it more of a classic look.
Sure.
Definitely.
Okay.
And it's
All
more
right,
true to quilting.
Right. All right, let's talk about flavors while we're sitting here and discussing.
So for this question that I get asked a lot from our clients is, can I have different flavors on different tiers? Because they like more than one thing after the tasting, so they want to include those different options. I say that it definitely depends on how your cake is being served, and how, because that's a conversation that I will definitely suggest to have with your caterer, because you want to make sure that they are aware of this ahead of time, that this is something that you're thinking of doing. A good question to pose to your caterer is, how will my dessert, how will the cake be served?
Right.
If there's other desserts, if you're having chocolate dessert, you don't want to have chocolate cake.
Right.
Because it's too much chocolate.
Well, I want everyone to have to eat chocolate because I like chocolate.
Here's
but maybe that's not what.
maybe
You want to take into
your
others
200
into
guests are
consideration,
not.
right.
Yeah, maybe. So if you're having a chocolate cake, you might want to do a vanilla cake,
Right, or a fruit
or a
flavor.
fruit flavor, or a lemon. We have a great lemon
Right.
cake. If you are more into the traditional red velvet, a lot of people love red velvet,
Right.
and a different option, we have a lemon red velvet marble, which includes the red velvet and the little sort of citrusy fruity of the lemon cake, which is so
Right.
great. It's a great option that I think is great for spring and summer weddings. It's so fresh.
So it's really take into consideration
That's
your
things
guests.
yes, definitely take. I know you want to order something also that you love and that
Right.
your fiance loves, but also take into consideration the other 100 guests that you have
Right,
at your
who's
wedding.
coming to your wedding.
Yes,
Yeah.
especially if I suggest this if you are having, if the cake is the main dessert, get something that you think everybody will love.
Right.
Or at least 80% of the people will love.
Sure, exactly.
And as far as having different flavor and combinations on different tiers, if the cake is being plated at the table,
Venue at the table. Yeah.
I recommend having all the same flavor and combinations on all tiers, because once they're served, if I'm having chocolate cake and the person next to me is having vanilla cake,
Ooh, I'd be so mad.
I will definitely say something about
Right.
it.
Where's my chocolate cake? I'd say.
Yeah, even if I like chocolate cake, I happen to see vanilla and I want vanilla.
Yeah.
It just becomes an issue that you don't want your guests to leave with that, because the cake is one of the last things that's being served. So
Right.
it becomes part of the service, and then that's the thing they will remember.
Right.
Even if they're a little drunk, they will remember.
Right. Exactly.
And that's something that you want to avoid. And want everybody to leave your wedding feeling so happy about the whole experience.
And we love when we hear we have a lot of clients that tell us, people call them several days later to tell them how great the cake was.
Yes, but if the cake is being placed at a dessert table, you can definitely do different combinations per tier. This way, your guests have the liberty to choose what they want to have.
Right.
And if they want to have more than one piece, they can try one chocolate piece and one vanilla piece.
Right. You can try all of it, which is what I would do.
Oh, definitely. I would do the same.
Okay. So now Amanda's putting in the little
dragées.
dragées.
And it's just to accent the quilting a little bit. It gives it a little extra.
Right, and they're edible. And sometimes you can get them in
All different colors.
all different colors, or even metallic.
Yeah, you can do metallic. It's a nice way to include the metallic in the dragées.
Sure.
So some people like to do it if they want to include like a red as an accent. That is an option to do
Sure.
it. Include it in that.
Okay.
A gold, silver.
Great.
With a giant red
Or you
flower.
can even,
Yeah.
do if you love, you can even keep it all white.
With a white dress.
With white dresses as
that
well,
looks
yeah.
beautiful
So if you don't
too,
want
yeah.
it to be to stand out too much,
Right,
and you
exactly.
want it to be more of a muted
Sure.
texture look.
Okay, do we have anything else that we're showing?
Nope.
Or is that it?
That was it.
Okay. Those were all the techniques.
Yes.
So I think we're just gonna wrap it up, and of course we always ask at the end of each of our sessions, we ask, what is the one tip, trick, or secret that you want everyone to take away from this Facebook, Instagram, pre-recorded session?
I think I suggest people enjoy this because the process of ordering your wedding cake is a lot of fun. You get to have cake,
Right.
and it's something that you can inject your personality to, and it's something that you can play around with. You can definitely choose different. You can change your mind about things. So I do believe that you should enjoy the whole process and make sure that you're buying something you love. And that and make sure that the cake is really good also, because all your guests are trying this cake, and after you spend a lot of money, you want to be able to cut it and for everybody to enjoy.
The cake may be beautiful, but at some point you gotta eat it.
Yes.
So you want to make sure it
That
tastes
is very
good.
important
Right.
that the cake
That's a
tastes good.
That's a good tip, trick, or secret.
Yes.
My tip, trick, or secret is, there are so many people involved in your wedding. Your parents, your friends will have to say. Your sister wants to tell you. Your cousin wants to suggest.
But ultimately, you are the bride
Right.
and the
So
groom. It is your wedding.
And especially, right. So you're the couple, and it's your, while there's so many people getting involved in so many different ways, the cake can really be yours.
Yes.
You don't have to involve every other person in your cake.
Right.
You can really, you and your a significant other can decide what the cake's going to be and how it's going to
Yeah.
represent.
Another thing that I do want to say is that make sure you choose a cake vendor that you feel comfortable with. You make sure that the person that you're choosing is somebody that you trust. This is a
Trust,
process.
sure.
You become and you trust that person. So you're not feeling overwhelmed that your cake might not arrive the day of the
Right.
wedding because this seems like your wedding vendor is not very responsive.
Sure.
So that's something that you want to do, because at the day of your wedding you want to feel secure that your wedding will be there, your wedding cake will be there,
Right.
and that there's not going to be any problem, and you trust your vendor to execute the vision that you have.
Right. Okay, great. Well, thank you to everyone. Thank you to Heidi. Hello, Heidi. Thank you so much. And thank you to Amanda. Thanks so much. And, thank you to everyone. We had such a crazy trying to get online. For whatever reason, the snow was, bringing us down. But we don't give up. Well, you can rest assured by seeing that we're pre-recording, and that's how we are with your cake. We're here, it's snowing, we get it done. So thanks so much, and I really appreciate it. And thanks to Kimberly, she's our technical advisor, and also to
Watch us
Orlando and Tallulah for Tallulah's going to help me with getting this online, and she did some of the technical stuff, and Orlando helped with lighting and all that type of stuff. So thank you very much, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.